So now we're here with John Roberts from the Golden Triangle Asian Elephant Foundation. It works in conjunction with Anantara, and it's fascinating hearing about John's work and seeing how they've taken this social enterprise and actually turned it into a sustainable business model for hotels and hoteliers. So welcome. John, could you just tell us what is your business and what's the business model that you're working with Anantara?
Well, I mean, in the end, it almost came in reverse, because a lot of the elephant camps you see are all out businesses, and that's the reason there are elephant camps all over Thailand, is because people make money from elephants. And what we try and do here is, yes, to make it a business model, to make it interesting to businessmen, but also to make sure we're good for elephants, make sure we put the elephants and the mahouts' needs first.
Right.
So the way we did that was by, first of all, well, they'd already bought the hotel by the time they decided they wanted elephants, so that was nothing to do with me. And so we had enough room, we had all this land around this, and we made sure that what we do has a low impact on the elephants, and they're not working hard, that we can attract a customer that can pay enough that we only have to maybe sometimes only have 2 or 3 customers a day.
So there's no such thing as so there's no exploitation of the elephants.
No, I mean that's the point, was to make sure that it's just as to make sure. And in the early days we were doing more hands-on things, and as the market has changed, more and more people just want to watch the elephants and walk with them. We can change. We never did anything to harm the elephants, though.
Right.
And we were very careful to make sure that the business, when we did set it up, yes, it was profitable, but as I say, the elephants went first.
So how does it all work? Where did the mahouts come from? Where did the elephants come from? And how do they end up at the
Well, in the very early days, we rented from the Thai Elephant Conservation Centre, but that was way back in 2003.
Right.
By 2006, we'd realised that there was more we could do.
Right.
There were elephants begging in the streets of Bangkok in those days. There were elephants out of work living up in Bangkok, where their home village is.
Right.
So in 2006, we started to send the government elephants home, because they're always going to be looked after. Well, the government belong to the government.
Right.
And we started bringing in other elephants. First of all, by buying them, which turned out to be a bad idea, because the mahout worked for us for about. The idea was to buy him and pay the mahout a lot of money so he could make money and still be with his elephant. We'd own the elephant, but then he just worked with us for a couple of months, took the money we'd given him, and went and bought another elephant.
So it didn't fix the problem.
It didn't fix the problem. And I mean, learning these things, and it was a learning curve. That these guys are part of a 4,000-year-old tradition. They don't see a life without elephants.
Right.
So if you take away their elephant and give them money, they get another elephant.
Right.
And that's where they ended up in trouble. Back in 2006, there wasn't so much work for them to do.
Right.
In fact, there was very little tourism. Logging had been banned for 20 years by then. So there was nothing for them to do, but they still had this elephant. They couldn't conceive of not having an elephant.
Right.
And so they ended up begging on the streets of Bangkok.
So, and I remember those. You'd often see these red lights going from side to side, and they were actually the lights fitted to the back of the tail of the elephants walking down. Something very dangerous. These mahouts, many have accused them of abusing, exploiting the animals. Would you agree with that, or it sounds like they like?
It's a fine line. I mean, because part of what we do here through the foundation is to try and improve the welfare of all the elephants. Yes, it's exploitation, taking them into the streets of Bangkok, but it's also part of their tradition. There's nothing else for them to do. They can't let their elephants starve to death. They can't release their elephants into the forest. Yes, they're trying to make money for themselves as well as making money to be able to feed their elephants, because they're also human beings.
Right.
They have a family. They have the same needs as the rest of us. And at that point, that was the only option.
And I imagine elephants aren't cheap to keep.
Elephants aren't cheap to keep. They eat 250 something kilos of food a day. Water, you can find in Bangkok, very easily. Food has to be shipped in. They're not cheap to keep, but they have this tradition which they can't get rid of yet. And that's the problem. I mean, there is throughout the industry. We try and work on welfare issues outside this camp. This camp, of course, we do our best to work and make sure welfare is not an issue. Everything is perfect, which doesn't always happen. But we do our best. But we try and work on welfare issues throughout the industry through the foundation, and that's part of the problem. It's a very grey area, because they are by definition, these guys exploiting elephants to make money, but it's also their tradition, so they're not going to stop doing that.
So now let's fast forward quickly then to here then. Yeah. What's the situation now? How is it working, and how is that different now with the Mahouts land?
Well, nowadays here, as I said, we started out buying the elephants, and then we worked out that that didn't work. That was counterproductive and probably causing elephants to be taken from the wild, which is totally counterproductive.
Right.
So we then started renting the elephants, and we bought the Mahouts. We bought the elephants, but it was almost rescuing the Mahouts.
Right.
There isn't an infinite number of elephants; they're endangered, but there almost was an infinite number of elephants. In that we could rescue as many elephants as we wanted, and we felt good about ourselves, but the Mahout would still find more elephants from somewhere else. So we concentrated on the Mahouts, and we said, okay, what does it take to bring you up with your elephant? And the answer was, first of all, in those days, but still now, a very nice, hefty rent check every month, just to be here. And then looking after the elephant, we can provide veterinary care, we can provide good nutrition, proper balanced nutrition. We give the Mahout and his family a house to live with us. The kids go to school, we ensure that they go to the village school, so we ensure the kids go to school. And of course they get to interact with Anantara guests who are...
And spending time with them today, it seems they really do love the animals.
Yeah, I mean they do. It is again, there's a broad range of, but some of them really do love the animals. Some of them were born into it and not so keen on it. But it's a family member. So
this is the back end. How does it work? Is it working as a business? And what's the model that the guests what do guests buy? What do they get?
It's working as a business, and it has done for 13 years, and it continues to make more and more not profit because we plow more and more back into it, but that's because I have a good boss who lets me do that.
Right.
Makes more and more, it grows every year. And the business model is that, of course, the hotel is all inclusive, so the guest doesn't see how much comes to the elephant.
So the guest just pays one lump sum.
Yes.
And that's it.
That's it. Done. That's it. Done. Exactly. Unless they want fancy wine. So they don't know what the breakdown is, but even before we were all inclusive, they did. But every time a guest does an elephant activity, the hotel gives some of that money to an operator with the elephant camp, which is an operating department within the hotel. Gives some of that money, and that money covers our costs. And of course, as with any operating department, I have a bunch of elephants there to try and meet and marry my cost to everything else. So I have more leeway because I have.
There's walking with elephants. There's riding elephants.
Yeah, the activities that we have. We try not to put people in the saddle, not because it's bad. Thailand still needs riding in the saddle as an activity, and lots of elephants do it. It's just a way to do it well. The reason we don't do it is you don't learn anything up there. We want people to come and meet an elephant and come away knowing something about Mahout culture or the elephant, or just having had a connection. And when you're sat 6 inches above its base, above its spine, you just don't get a connection with the elephant. So we try not to do that. If a guest absolutely insists, we will do it. Our main activities are Mahout Experience, which is now a popular thing all over Southeast Asia, but we were the first people to do it, so it's a good thing. And that's where you learn a little bit of what it's like to be a Mahout. Of course, we can't teach you much in 2.5 hours, but you do get to sit on the neck, how to climb off, how to climb on, how you talk to your Mahout, you talk to everyone talks to their elephant, and you understand or not, I don't know.
But I heard there's a secret language used by Mahouts, like an ancient Mahout language.
Well, that's the really secret language is used for catching elephants, so you won't have heard of that. There is a really very secret language that they would use when they went into the forest to catch elephants back pre-1950. Actually pre-1979 in Cambodia, but where they would use a special language when they went on catching missions, so they didn't alert the spirits, didn't alert the elephants to what they were supposed to do. But that's another. We could go on for hours. Of course, yes.
And then also, I think Dr. Josh at these things. He also does something learning with elephants as well in conjunction with schools.
Yeah, so he does. So he was here for 4 years on site doing not his initial research. His initial research was done at Thai Elephant Conservation Centre and in Chiang Mai. Right. But he was here with his team for 4 years doing more extensive research on our elephants, on how elephants think and how elephants see the world and how they get involved. Now, of course, he's teaching down at Mahidol, but he has Think Elephants International. His foundation is is education based, so it's educating Thai kids in conservation and with elephants when he was here, and certainly from time to time when it happens again, we would Skype the elephants into classrooms, both within Thailand or around the world. And we Skype the TED Talks as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So this is amazing. Well, thank you very much, John. I wish we had more time to speak, but just seeing how an issue like this that gets into the whole the elephants are part of Thailand, and part of the culture, and with the Mahouts coming in, they're not just from this area, from Surian, from all over Thailand, and everything weaved together, and a hotel is a vehicle to make all this.
Yeah, exactly. The hotel is the people who brings the people in to do it, which pays for everyone, and raise money for the foundation as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No problem.